Hey friends, welcome aboard. Thanks for being here on Dolynny TV this evening, as it is a rainy day here in my portion of Alberta. That said, not so bad of a rainy day up in Edmonton. At least newsworthy wise, we finally have at least an official expectation on who that one PTO we've been talking about here for about the past week is going to be for the Edmonton Oilers when it comes down to camp getting underway here in a little bit. So that's fun. I do want to talk a little bit added on to that following that. But before we get too far, I want to say thank you again for joining me here. But I also want you to consider, especially if you're new or you've been following along for a while but haven't had that chance to hit that subscribe button as of yet, I want you to do that. Obviously, I'm hitting this hard again for the regular viewers just simply because, guys, it's hockey season. We're almost to the weekend, which means rookie camp is kicking off, and that's going to be a dang good time. So that's what you need to know there. Now, what do we need to know? Well, Travis Dermott's name has been mentioned quite a bit this summer. I think there's one guy in particular that's been pretty heavy on him in this Oilers YouTube space. Maybe a guy over on the Oilers Fanatic, kind of the other half of the brain trust that puts together these videos every day, I guess you could say. Obviously, I didn't want to steal Patrick's thunder today on talking about kind of what he was going to talk about with Travis Dermott if he had figured out a video quite yet when I spoke to him. But you look at this, Frank Seravelli, he stole the spotlight with it. Been lots of speculation. This was about 14 minutes ago, time of recording 5:30. Been lots of speculation on Oilers defense plans. Expectation is we'll see Travis Dermott arrive in Edmonton for voluntary captain skates this week with a formal PTO to follow. So kind of, I want to go back. I mentioned Patrick and the brain trust and making these videos, all that. There's a reason I mentioned that. I want to go back to a conversation I had with Patrick kind of on the way home here tonight, discussing this exact scenario, this Travis Dermott, hey, what's going on? Why haven't we heard anything? When will we hear something? How does this all make sense? And it's kind of exactly how Frank put it, right? The Oilers will probably get him in, get them all set up here in the informal skates, get them to know the guys, and then the announcement, as it typically does in Edmonton, will come out at 9-10 a.m. on Monday morning officially from the club, and away you go after the weekend, kind of, either to wrap up rookie camp or maybe even in the afternoon, because we're going at noon, so maybe 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock on Monday, kind of start breaking down training camp news and leave the rookies to have the spotlight. And that's what I assume is kind of going to be the context here from the Oilers, because if Travis Dermott wants to join on the PTO, sorry, my apologies, that happens dang near every video, but if Travis Dermott wants to join on a PTO and he has no other contract offers, hence why he's joining on a PTO, there is no rush to announce it. And that's kind of what Patrick and I were going back and forth on. It's like, it's not big breaking news, this where you have to announce it right away, but it's also not big breaking news that like you have to wait on, right? Like this is stuff that can be done right here, right now, one way or another. It doesn't affect it, and obviously, it doesn't change nothing today or Monday, right? So we'll see when the official announcement from the Oilers comes out. Obviously, again, this is one PTO that the Oilers have been linked to for pretty much the entire summer. Kind of once we figured out our cap space situation, it's like we're going to need PTO defensemen at camp just to fill out the split squad scenario against Calgary. And that's where I wanted to discuss the next point, right? I think for anyone that listens to Bob Stauffer on 630 Ched, night in, night out, Oilers Now, thankfully, luckily enough, with his switch to the 5 to 7 slot, I've had the opportunity to listen quite a bit more rather than just show clips. I've been able to listen to actual full runs a lot more often nowadays, and through the past season. It's helped a ton here on the channel, I'll tell you that. Bob's mentioned quite a few times that 1 to 2 defensemen are needed to meet regulations in the preseason for the Calgary split squad game. There's some quirky, I guess you could say, rules when it comes to building game rosters in the NHL for preseason games. You have to have a certain amount of veterans. You have to have a certain amount of this, all that. Well, again, from what Bob Stauffer's making everyone understand here, and kind of what the consensus I think in Oilers land is as well, is there's going to be an issue for that split squad game. Whether one PTO solves it, I think it does, But Bob Stauffer's also been very key on mentioning 1 to 2, 1 to 2, 1 to 2. And when I bring this up again, I'm not going to steal Patrick's exact thoughts, because if he does indeed choose to do a video, I want him to fully get all the credit on that, because that's a great discussion to be had, and I ain't stealing that discussion. That said, I do want to kind of nibble on it a little bit in terms of 1 to 2 PTOs. Well, okay, that's one way to do it. But we also know that the Oilers, I've said it multiple times this summer since the Broberg-Holloway offer sheets, the Oilers are actively pursuing potential trades to get better on the blue line, or get another experienced body, or somehow get another defenseman of just above or similar to Troy Stetcher and of course Josh Brown into the lineup. And that would be a way you solve that. Now, again, there's multiple teams out there that as the next few weeks develop are going to have to figure out maybe their cap space situation, just as the Oilers will. And that's where the Oilers might be able to take advantage of, a late round pick for a guy that just doesn't fit anymore due to salary cap complications. And just because of the way the Oilers are currently structured, losing CC, losing, of course, Broberg and Holloway to the offer sheets, bringing in Emberson, the cap dollars, and obviously Vander Kane's situation might just work out that you can fit in another guy and still potentially have room for a guy like Travis Dermott if he chooses to stick around. So this is where I really am excited to see how this all shakes out. Obviously, that hinges on a lot more than just you, me, and whoever else having a discussion. That hinges on the rest of the NHL really trying to figure out their situations uniquely while simultaneously doing it with everybody else, the other 31 teams, and the Oilers hopefully being one of the teams out of how many ever teams could potentially benefit from that situation, being one of the teams that benefits. So we look forward to seeing that. But again, this is the rumbling that Travis Dermott will be here in Edmonton here soon. You know that somebody somewhere will find a way to get the pictures online for sure of Travis Dermott in Oilers gear prior to his PTO officially being signed. But that's just one. And I wonder if indeed the Oilers do go after a second PTO, or if they choose to angle towards a trade to fill out the other body that might be needed for that Calgary split squad game. Again, I don't know the rules and regulations. I ain't about to read all 100 million pages of the NHL rulebook. I don't even know how many pages there are on that thing, and somebody who's on top of it would know. But we'll not worry about it too much. And from there, friends, I will wish you a good night. Unless there's further news this evening, you might hear from me in the morning if I have a little bit extra time tonight to get something up for you for then. But for right now, I'm up on out of here. Thank you for being aboard. Again, hit that subscribe button if you're new, returning, whatever the case is, and you haven't done it yet. But thanks for being aboard. Let me know your thoughts on Travis Dermott as well, and I'm up on out of here.